All right.
Oh,
Thanks,
you might have to
everyone.
hear my wife and son in the background.
This is Chris with Chris and Rob Game Room. I got some special guests here. Zack Pope from Dice Masters with James and Zack.
Hello.
Patrick Shadowmeld Barley as
how's it
the cook extraordinaire when it comes to making teams and crusher of dreams.
The nefarious geneticist.
Yeah.
Yes, that is my internet catchphrase title thing.
And we got Ben Scott. He's been commenting with us on our channel. And...
No introduction needed, obviously.
I bet.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have anything in the chamber for you, Ben. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
He ain't from around these parts.
Yeah.
Random guy Ben. Okay.
Dude hanging out on the couch, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week we're going to talk about how the matchups went along for this week. I'm going to talk about each individual's match so they can share how their matchup went, and also the future for the next matchups. See how that's going to shake out for them. So let's start out with how did your match go, Patrick?
I knew you were going to ask me first.
You were the featured, sir.
Fair enough. It was darned close. I think James had a misplay in the first game and he lost. I had a misplay in the second game and I lost. And then I just missed a crucial mandatory roll to allow me to basically come back against the rush of a gold dragon on turn 3. And I missed Bishop and Hela and could not stop the dragon the second time around and lost game 3. So it really came down to piloting skill and then in the heat of the moment, luck. So
yeah, that gold dragon was just brutal, and you have to play perfect against it, otherwise it doesn't matter, and have your stuff roll. That's really what it boils down to.
Right. Well, and I had the best odds possible, right? I had 2 characters that could block and survive the dragon, one of which would prevent me from even taking the breath weapon damage, and the other one would let the character that goes to the used pile come back into the bag next turn. So I was guaranteed to roll that character the next turn anyway. So I'd be rolling 2 characters every turn with the 2 of them out.
Yeah.
So I'd always have a 75% chance of, a 86 point something chance of rolling a character every turn, right? And that's basically my best odds. And then I would also have enough energy, hopefully, to be able to keep buying things on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't happening because
the 14% gotcha.
Yeah, well, yeah, 12 or something. Yeah,
yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
James did a really good job of switching though. In the first game, he went for the fix it,
mm-hmm.
And then he subsequently changed to getting the gold dragon and just rushing you, which I think was really smart by James.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fix it, how did the fix it even win? I forget. Like
it didn't. You beat it.
Oh, right. Yeah. The fix it didn't win. And
switched off of it.
Yeah. I don't know that the fix it would have ever won.
No, I don't think so either. So I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
Reading it and switching.
Yeah.
So. It comes down to picking your matchup, and I think James did the right thing in picking the matchup because it didn't suit him, and he knew that that you were stuck in your matchup with what your team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Ben, let's hear about yours. How did yours go?
I lost against Laurier.
Who doesn't?
He's pretty good. So that's fine. I don't know.
Good recap.
I won the second game. That was pretty good. The first game, I think he just outplayed me and had a better team than me. And the first game, and I just was trying to be aggressive. It didn't really work as well. Once people get set up,
yeah,
the Rocket Raccoons are good, but they're not good enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think in your matchup, it really came down to on a few of the rolls, you desperately had to get 1 or 2 things. Otherwise, Lurie is just going to run all over you, and you didn't get them.
Well, the big thing in the third game, so the first two matches were pretty. The first game he dominated. Second game, I think I did pretty well. And then the third game, I had an Awakened team, and I was kind of handling him, I think, better than he thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with the Awakened team is the win condition is basically get enough attack damage via combat and clear the field and swing through. And if your opponent is kind of doing a good job of keeping you from getting a big field, it just becomes very difficult. And those Banshees, which I was using to kind of do some chip damage, are just the fielding cost on it is just too much.
Yeah.
To make it consistent anyway.
You need that Wolverine, man.
Oh,
I know. Oh man.
Or just Jim Gordon.
Or just Jim Gordon, but Wolverine has stats.
Wolverine patch.
Yeah.
Really great card.
Interesting.
Oh no, I mean
The promo, make your X-Men
Oh.
field.
Oh, that one. Oh yeah.
That
No,
one's
no, my patch.
Oh.
Yeah, because the 1/1/2 on Banshee, it's the being able to deal 1 damage to everything, lots of combos with that, but I mean having to roll it and then also get the 2 fielding cost on level 3.
Well, so I have the Awaken, Dupe, and Storm
Yeah.
combo, so that's really good, right? But it takes away so much energy trying to clear a field with those two that then you get the stats. And Dupe's great because he has 6 attack.
Yeah.
At
So that's
max
a big
level.
chunk already. Yeah, at max level.
Yeah.
You have to get him up to that, which you do because you're trying to clear the field, but then you also have to have the rest of it. And I
Yeah.
couldn't really push without dying the next turn. So I think we ran out of time, I think, eventually.
Yeah, it went to 5 after that.
Yeah, he just had more damage than me on the board because I couldn't do my swing.
Yeah, Laurier's good about just holding off until he absolutely has to, and when he gets to rounds, it's really hard.
I think the final thing as well, the biggest thing with that matchup as well was he had Magic Missile. So whenever Storm wasn't on top level, he would just ping her off. So that meant I had to spin Storm down and then spin it back up
right away
before I could do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just very oppressive. And I think the last 2 turns, basically, he just sat there with Magic Missile and said, "Swing at me. I'll just ping you off."
Come at me, bro.
Yeah. So clever play, and he deserved to win. So can't do much.
Awesome. All right, Zach.
I was up against TJ, who had just gone up against James the week before. So you were like, let's put him through all the YouTubers. I'm assuming he's going to get paired up with GM Armada next week. The bracket be damned, and just put him up against everybody. No, TJ and I played, and going into that game, I hadn't lost a game yet. I was feeling pretty confident, and managed to win the first game against his Hulk Awaken staff team. He's got a Awaken team, but he's using that rare Hawk Girl. And I like the idea of it, but if your dice come up level 3, he didn't bring Polymorph. He was using Focus Power Morph, and so he doesn't have a lot of ways to get his characters down a level. And so there's at least one time when he rolled level 3 Jubilee. He was having a hard time getting Awakened to trigger. I did make a dumb mistake. I'd gotten Fix It in the field, and I just kind of attacked, not really thinking about it, and he managed to block with Jubilee, and then the next turn he fielded her and spun her up and had staff that turn, and so wiped my board. Didn't have enough damage to kill me, but got me pretty low, and I didn't have to give him that chance. So that felt bad. That one worked out, and then game 2 was his Nabi team, which was the one he used against James, and it worked just as well against me, DM2. He calls himself the Game 2 Master now. So he's got a Collector Nabi team, but he's also got Firefly on it and Yanti. So there's a couple different ways he can do the direct damage. And I was worried about that one because of the Scarlet Witch. And my Hulk team requires the Nowhere to roll, and so I didn't want to go up against that. But I had Captain America out, and I just I feel like I couldn't get it. I was pretty close a lot, and then I think the thing with the Collector team is he can kind of do a little bit of damage here and a little bit of damage there, and then all of a sudden it's 7 or 8 in one turn, and you're way lower than you thought you were.
Yeah, It's the second opponent in a week that's really forced you to change your strategy up on your Mr. Fix-It team midway through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that Fix-It team only has one way to win.
Yeah.
So against Joe, I just barely managed to find a way to get rid of all of his blockers, so I didn't have to go unblockable to win. But that was mostly because Joe couldn't get a character to roll, and that's nothing that he was doing wrong. It's just the dice.
Yeah.
Well, and he was saving a lot of energy, which I think was hurting his number of characters that he had in general. But that was the only way that, I mean, he was able to hold off for a long time because of it, so it worked. But yeah, so definitely the swap for Wonder Woman on that team is starting to pay dividends. People started to figure out that if I bring Magic Missile and things like Shriek, you can just ping them right off. Or Jarvis, my main wing con, has only got 1, 2, or 3 defense. And so learning the hard way that I can't bring my own removal. And but Wonder Woman has been pretty good. And so I've started to buy her like first turn now, just to make sure that I can get the whole thing to go off when I want it to. It's also nice being able to ping off their Shriek, but not have your Shriek get pinged off.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like back in the fall when I would run Madam Mask and then like a force block, get rid of their Shriek, and then they couldn't refield it.
It's a pretty nasty combo.
Yeah. So it came down to game 3, and then game 3, I think his bad luck with characters sort of returned a little bit. I've been a little bit lucky this whole tournament, where a lot of my opponents have had a really hard time getting anything to roll consistently, and that's frustrating for them, obviously. But it's also kind of, it's not like the way you want to win the game, really.
Yeah.
No one likes, if it's like a WKO and it's like nationals are on the line, then, I'm a little bit happy about it. But this is a friendly tournament. I don't really want somebody to get frustrated because nothing ever rolls. And so not really much you can say when they're not doing anything wrong. They just can't get a character in the field.
Yeah.
Rob, just use up all your luck before Worlds.
Yeah, right.
That's fine.
I mean, I got nationals in a month, so I got to do something.
Yeah.
I won't be there for that, so you can get them as well.
Yeah. I can't make it to Worlds. One trip. I was going to try to do both, but not anymore.
Robert basically said his match won. He won his match because Joe couldn't roll his dice either.
I mean, that's what happened to me and Joe. Joe couldn't get anything.
Yeah, Joe's had probably the roughest rolls in the tournament.
Yeah.
At least Joe hasn't played stupid, which we're gonna get to me right now because I had the biggest mistake in the tournament. Like, I don't think anyone can make a bigger mistake. The first game, I believe it was. What I can't even remember my own matches, but the first game it went to. I'm sorry, I need to pull the match up because I'm terrible and bad at this. So I played Brian Tarks. The first game he won. I think I was playing my my Boom Boom Yanti team. That's the first match I've dropped with my Boom Boom Yanti team. The next game, I won the first game. Then we went to Collector Nabi, and he steamrolled me with the same team that he had out. And then the next game, I basically got Nabi control out and just controlled everything, and proceeded to just put Hulk out there and just push damage here and there. Thanks, Troy. Thanks for the pronunciation. But I made the mistake on a turn when I could have had lethal. I purchased Nabi, another Nabi. I swung in with the 3 characters that I had. If I had saved the fist instead of paying it, and Magic Missile Blob twice, pushed and pumped Blob, I would have won because he had to block he would have had to block everything, otherwise die. But instead, I got too cute and wound up. I had him down to 1 after attacking with everything, and he had no health taken off of me, and he won in 2 turns because I was stupid. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, I think you want to blame that Nobby. That was 1 turn as well, but you also just had such good control.
Yeah,
that whole game, you could have just literally just seen it out. A little bit like Laurier did with me.
I think personally that the matches that I played this week was probably my best set of matches that I played all throughout the tournament, and I just threw it away in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Brian took advantage of it. He dominated me.
Patrick and I played a couple of practice matches on Saturday, and I think it was one of those where I buy something instead of saving the energy, not really thinking that I'm going to do anything with it, and then immediately find like I regret it on their turn. And I think I do that in turns a lot. Like you get a situation in turns where you're not going to get whatever you buy. Like, you know, you're not going to get through your bag by the time the game is over. Yeah. And so I'll just buy something, and then like you know you're not going to get to it anyway. You know, you don't have the energy. Just save it. Like you just never know when it's going to be.
Also, people get into a situation in turns where they're like, it's getting to turns, I need to win. And sometimes you have to think about, I've got good control of the board here. I can just sit and not do anything.
Yeah.
And I'll win by life. It's a bit of a horribly clinical way to play.
I hate playing like that, but
it's effective sometimes.
Yeah.
As soon as turns start, the rules of the game change.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter if it's not what you should play. It's the way to win, right? That's like saying, oh, I don't want to play PXG because it's not cool. Well, you know, but it helps you win.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't play Bard at Worlds and made it to, you know, top 8. So if you can do it a different way and still do it within the bounds, great. Look for that option. But when the rules change, you really have to play to every advantage you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michaela wrote a great article about that from Nationals, I think, about her write-up. She had one game where they had to do a sudden death game. And she had a good breakdown of like the thought process behind whether to even go first or second. Like which one of those was going to be more advantageous when you only got like 3 rounds or whatever to do some damage.
Mm-hmm. Second.
I can't remember which one she did, but it was a tough call, and I think it was really close, and it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
It's also tempting sometimes just to swing, right? Like if you have such a commanding position, like you said with your game, Zach, you swung with that Mr. Fix-It without thinking about it, because that Mr. Fix-It is super strong, right? And his idea is to attack with him.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to think a couple of turns ahead and what your opponent can do with blocking that one character with 3 of their characters, lose 3 of their characters, but they get to roll them immediately, right?
Yeah, no, and like certain things like I mean that one I wanted to stay in the field, right? Like I wanted it to stay at max level and have it be tough. And you know, your opponent is going to have situations, you know, where maybe by blocking with a shriek and getting a retarget it, they can completely change, you know, what they're doing and stuff. So yeah.
The big one with that is the mimic, that 3-cost mimic.
Oh yeah, changing the targets to get the stats. Yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah. So for the Jubilee team, here's some spoilers for when you play me. James regrets having pinged off my mimic to stop me from ramping, because then I immediately turned around and targeted my level 3 Jubilee. So my mimic was now a 4/3, and now I had 8 stats on the board, and he had no characters in the field.
Oh jeez.
Right? Like
yeah.
That's a big swing.
Mm-hmm. I think that could be even bigger, right? I mean, you could have Mimic on a team where you've got Fix It or Hella or something, and then now you got a 7-8 attack guy.
Right, exactly.
I think Mimic after like 5 rounds, he's probably the worst one to ping off, because especially if they have something in the field just to copy it, and you don't want that.
Well, and then like I feel like whenever I play Mimic, I just end up with like 4 or 5 psychics in the field, which is great for churn, but then I'm not rolling them anymore, and so I'd much rather have something else there instead.
Well, so on my Jubilee team, there are times where I've used my last ping before my turn's about to start to, instead of pinging my opponent for 1 damage, I ping off my Mimic. So I can switch and like field Spider-Man, copy Spider-Man. Now I have 2 4/4s, and
especially with that Spider-Man team, because that Spider-Man gives you unblockable so quickly and easily.
Yeah, use that against me. I'm still mad about that. I had my satchel team, and I was feeling pretty good about it. And then Ben shows up. I get killed in the field, turn 2, because of chalkboard and stuff. And he wins the game after purchasing 3 dice the whole time. And then we played game 2, and he did exactly the same 3 dice, and I just couldn't do anything about it with satchel.
I think it's definitely a big problem with Kiln is your opponent gets to buy at least 2 things, usually 4, before.
Well, those have to be Mary Jane, Dum Dum, and Spider-Man. It doesn't really matter if they have any other dice to play with.
Man, I hate Kiln, honestly.
It's just been nerfed with we lost so many good action, particularly Satchel.
Hmm.
Trying to
I mean,
build
it's
around it,
super
you
hard
need to.
It'd be really hard to play action-based teams at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I was
think
kind of
there's
glad
actually-
about it.
I think there's actually more better actions nowadays.
Yeah.
Like there's some really good actions that we can use right now.
I really like
But-
yeah.
We lost like Cold Gun, which was a biggie.
Yeah.
Kryptonite.
Well, and Satchel, which is
Kryptonite.
like the
I'm gonna
win
miss that
condition,
every
right?
day. And Satchel, yeah.
Yeah, and Satchel's the win con, right? So,
Yeah. Kryptonite was, I mean, that was a great little spot removal for all kinds of stuff.
I still have my French one.
Oh, nice. And then, well, one of the double risk guys was playing like a Kryptonite where you'd force you use Trusted Friend to make all your opponent's characters
Mm-hmm.
to spite. I mean, that was a fun idea for a win con.
And then Doomsday to kill them all when you
Yeah,
cast
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And Shadow, you and James's match was just a war of attrition, and he won it. That's basically
Yeah,
what
yeah. I mean, he did. I misplayed by thinking that game 2 would be pretty easy because he had a Navi team, and I underestimated the speed of his Yonti.
yeah.
And
and his
I
rolls.
didn't.
You went for
well,
the bishop, but you went for it like 2 turns later than you like could have.
Right. Yeah. There was a turn where I could have gotten bishop like turn
Yeah.
3 or turn 4. And if I'd done that, then I would have been taking unblocked Yontis.
Mhm.
But I have magic missile, so I could have started playing the save a
Yeah.
bolt. And I could have even saved a bolt to ping off like if he didn't land an action die, I could ping off Steve Trevor and buy my Wonder Woman on his turn. Right.
Mhm.
So it doesn't even really slow my team down. I just have to like maybe lose a turn of buying Wonder Woman, but I can wait to decide until after they roll. But again, I just didn't buy Bishop on the turn that I should have. And I even said it in the video. I was like, oh, I could have done something else right there if I'd been thinking better, but oh well. And then I proceeded to lose.
So I just played that team from James, but I don't know if anyone else has the same experience. Where now, like, if I see a Norman Osborn on the other side, I just assume it's a collector's team, and it was like several turns into the game when I'm looking around and go, "Wait, there isn't a collector here at all." It's like not even his main win.
Exactly the same thing. Like he had the Nobby, right? So I went Madame Mars.
Oh yeah.
First purchase something, and I was like, okay, but he didn't buy Nobby the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So,
And in one of our games, I mean, it's not even really a main win con because he's only got 3 villains, I think, and so it's a decent source of direct damage. But he's definitely got a lot other ways to do it.
and he
The way he
sneakily
does
told
it-
me it was a Nobby team as well.
The way he does it, he's Nabi Danger Room, right? Like if you have a good way to counter his other action dice characters,
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
it's the Nabi Danger Room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you guys saw the WKOs, the top 8 from the most recent one, where they banned Cube, but having like 2 or 3 possible win cons was like really popular in the top 4 there.
actually, I think that most of the teams that are in the top 8 of this tournament are
Multiple win cons.
multiple win
I
con
mean,
teams.
I'll be the odd man out here because my teams have exactly one way to win each.
You just have a
Um,
ton of removal.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna have one win con, you better have enough to protect it, and that's
What-
kind of
We will also follow that up with you've been pared down every round.
yeah.
Um,
and
but-
nobody can roll against me, so I've gotten some
Yeah,
things going my way.
Exactly. You're just in this nirvana zone. But yeah, no, like Steve Kukas, or like DM Armada, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm bad with names. So Steve, one of his teams has 2 win cons, and another one is just Nabi Collector, which means that the team that has 2 win cons probably wins most of his matchups, and then whatever's
Collector gives
left,
you-
he
Yeah.
can beat with Norman Collector, right? Like
Well, the collector also gives you your opponent's win con.
that's fair.
Oh, yeah.
Fair point. No, I mean that's
one of the benefits of villain control was always that all the good control pieces are villains now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
that's why that 7-cost Thanos needs to be a thing. Their villains do nothing.
You mean that thing that I told people 3 months ago needed to be a thing?
I know, but it's
Back
not a
when
thing.
you
You
could
can't bloody buy
nowhere
it
a
in time.
Superman into it.
Oh no.
You know what the worst thing about that is, though? You can't buy it in time before they just streak it. So it's really pointless.
I don't know. You could Steve Trevor into Wonder Woman and buy it on turn 4.
You could, but they've already shrieked it by then. Then you just have to like hope you can get rid of it somewhere.
You ping off Shriek, or you uncommon Batgirl, intimidate that girl.
Oh,
Yeah, like, or you just Magic Missile Shriek. How does Magic Missile hurt Steve Trevor, Wonder Woman, or
Thanos? You're gonna get 9 bolts one turn and get rid of them for you.
Right?
that would be insane. Oh my god. All the Chewingas out in the field, and you just save all the double bolts and just get rid of the thing.
Then you're better off just going with the other Thanos.
True. Yeah.
The other?
Someone.
Well, are you though? Like,
I don't know. Depends what they have.
realistically?
You mean the rare on your Navi control team, right? Just to do the direct damage with villains.
The uncommon, right?
The uncommon. As opposed to-
Yeah. The basically bigger, badder blob.
Yeah.
One thing I was wanting to talk about real quick is someone that I've been meaning to talk about a couple weeks now is Reg Sims. He entered the tournament, and his channel, he kind of has a special thing where they do cost effectiveness with their cards, and he entered the tournament with both of his team valued at $40 period. Like both of his teams combined are $40. And I think a lot of people combined.
That memo. Okay.
Yeah, $40 combined. And
Yeah, you guys not all doing that?
I kind of am.
But you're doing it with one team. The other team
One
has,
team, yeah. The other team probably not.
Yeah.
I did actually the math on it, but you can finish your thing.
He's playing people that have anywhere from like $100 to $200 worth of cards. He's playing me this week in my my Yancey team that I'm playing him with. If we went with the high side of Super Yancey, it's value of like 200 to 300 at some points, but it's come down. But it's pretty nutty. I think he's doing really well in the tournament right now. Reg Sims, he is 1-2, but he's gotten a win in every single match that he's played. So he's doing really good.
He's got a good strength of schedule too.
Yeah. So he's 4-4.
A little bit, and he said that one of his teams he finds really pretty good, the Mr. Fix-It Hellfire Club team.
Mm-hmm.
He said he's pretty comfortable that can take on anyone. But the Sidekick team, his other team has been struggling a little bit.
Yeah,
that's how it's going to be in this tournament, right?
They're solid teams. You wouldn't look at them and just think like, oh, they're like specifically making choices to make that cheaper, right? Like, if you just look at it at a glance, I mean, you could always make different decisions, but there's nothing obvious about it that says like, oh, he's definitely trying to pick cheap cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Patrick.
Next year, everything's going to be common, right? So
that's true.
Yeah.
The good thing about the game, but that's always been the good thing about the game, right?
But then you're thinking like, is it a 25-cent card on cool stuff, or is it like a $40 box that you got the one card in?
That's true. And the question is am I going to have to buy 2 of the team packs for
I still don't know that.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
that's the normal living card game
yeah
format, right? Like they put one copy of this really good card in, and you need 3 of them, so you have to buy 3 starter sets. And it's like,
I hope they don't make you buy both the boxes to get all the max dice for it. That's one thing I hope they don't do.
They said on the campaign boxes that they were going to adjust max dice numbers on the cards so that you get them all, but it's not clear with the team packs.
It's going to be 3 dice like Turtles.
Well, I think that the phrasing made it sound like they were going to include 6 costs that were max 2, and they'd only give you 2 dice for them, and then the other ones would be 4. But it's not; they haven't official yet.
They're going to make max dice kind of teach you what a good number of max dice is.
Yeah.
But I like having. But what about that Hulk where you could have 5 of them, and then you ping one, and then you get all of them in your maybe X?
I'm just glad Wonder Woman is max dice 4. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. I mean, people have said for a long time that Dice Masters is a great game, and one of the reasons is that you can win with commons, you can win with uncommons, and people talk about how inexpensive it is to get into it. And I always had a little bit of an issue with that because I'd go to the game store and I'd drop like $15 on packs. I'd get to open 15 of them instead of 3. But it wasn't like I was saving any money there. But if you look at like the World's winning teams and you price them out, I mean, you can win Worlds with a $100 team I mean, even back when like you were talking about Sarina, but yeah, stuff like Constantine Hellblazer, that was a $40 card for a really long time. You know, they could add up, but you know, if you were to jump into the game and just buy last year's national, and especially this year, because last year's Worlds team was like Uncommon Name Marita and Lantern Ring was kind of expensive, but a lot of other really cheap pieces. I mean, if you just jumped into the game today and just bought as singles all of the Nationals team or Worlds team from last year, it would cost you very little compared to other games.
Yeah, I don't think Victor even had a super rare on that team unless it was like Parallax.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but Parallax, you can get the common of that.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, maybe Ronin. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, Ronin was pretty popular. But even then, I mean, the maximum you're spending like 40.
And then you don't have to buy like 4 copies of it to get the 4 dice, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's so the other thing. Like I keep like looking at other CCGs and I'm like, this game's fun. Let me play with my locals so that I have people to play with instead of sitting by myself playing DM. And then I'm like, oh right, I need 4 copies of everything. Nope.
Yeah.
Just done. Because
well, you know, and like in Magic, you pull a rare card and you're all excited, and then you go, well, now I got to get 3 more.
I will say the difference is in those games you build to what you own, and in this game you collect to build what you want.
Yeah,
which is quite different, but I actually like it more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, but that becomes a problem when some of the cards are just like the Super Rare Jubilee.
Mm-hmm.
I really need that for my Spider-Man team.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Ring of Winter, how many of us are still looking for Ring of Winter?
Oh, that was one of the first cards I got out of TOA.
Ah, jeez.
But you need that, I guess. You need that in a collectible game. So once it switches back.
Yeah, you need, right. And so when we switch to LCG, at least everybody will be able to play everything. So.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to piling
cool
skill.
Thing that Reg has said himself, that this kind of artificial limit, but he's doing well despite it, and it's interesting that you can make it work.
Yeah,
but we were talking about that just before the stream started, right? That there's so many cards in each set which are really playable that you don't have to necessarily have that one card, because you can kind of, there are like at least a good 20 cards from each set recently that are really strong that can go into a team.
Yeah, but like going to like what Patrick was saying, like I knew I had to trade for Jubilee because I love playing sidekick teams, just as like a style. And so that was like, there's other super rares that I would gladly give up to get that one, because there's like certain, even though they have good abilities, I'm just not interested in playing them. So yeah, like you kind of can pick your own style, but if you're kind of interested in one particular one, then yeah, there's certain cards you're going to need.
I'd need to get my hands on Jubilee so bad. That's such a good card. That I had to trade for Nabi. I'm gonna have to trade for Jubilee. I had to trade for Malekith because I saw the change coming from Malekith.
Jubilee.
I actually traded my Yanti Pureblood for it at the WKO. I finished that tournament and I said, I don't want to play this team ever again. You know, I made top 8 with it and then I got knocked out. But I was just like, I'm so tired of playing this and thinking about it and talking about it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I knew I wanted to play that. And I was kind of also hoping they would ban Yanti instead of Cube. Without Cube, Jubilee's significantly worse as a win con, but she's pretty good for a lot of other reasons.
I own every issue of Generation X and am a huge Jubilee, young X-Men, Kitty Pryde, all sorts of second-gen X-Men. And so when Jubilee was the first super rare I opened in X-Men First Class, I was like, yes.
Man, I underrated that card. Like, me and my friends did a draft. We bought the box together and drafted it out. And I took the super rare Boom Boom instead of the Jubilee.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
It's pretty good, though.
It's okay.
He's really good because of the Professor X and the Billy Club, right? That Trinity. Yeah. That Trinity is spectacular, and then the Mimic, right?
Mimic,
the unholy Trinity, I like to call it.
But the reason, but Jubilee does something that no one else does in any way, really. And Boom Boom, the super rare, there's other ways you can do the kind of similar thing.
Sort of. Jubilee does what Human Torch Johnny Storm
that's
did
not available
at half the price too.
At half the price, but also at half the effect and with massive limits because it only works on sidekicks instead of any character.
Yeah, but there's the only thing available right now in Modern.
No. Right.
And it works specifically with.
And it works with allies too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're one of the strongest sets of teams. Whereas the Boom Boom, that kind of style is premeditated on the fact that you can kind of control the board and just keep chipping away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stopped by a few
And
different things.
Nobby does just as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, James and I were going back and forth. Well, James has Nobby and I don't, and I have Super Boom Boom and he doesn't. So we were kind of limited anyway from that. But when we were kind of trying to prepare control teams against Yanti for the last round of WKOs, I feel like it was about 50-50 on those because Nobby, if your opponent's fielding villains, you get a couple extra damage that you don't get with Boom Boom. And also it's per die, which is a little bit better overall. Yeah. But with Boom Boom, you also get triggers off of things that aren't villains that you might want to use for control, like Dwarf Wizard, like, Sidekick, stuff like that. And so I think when you're running that kind of team, it was kind of based on what you owned, really, but also they were you could kind of trade one for the other. Energy type maybe made a difference, but it wasn't a huge deal. I think now that in the new Modern, though, a lot of like things like Dwarf Wizard rotated out, and so now you really are running villains if you're running control of any kind.
I actually have Wonder Woman.
I just put Uncommon Malekith on the team, and it kind of turned the sidekicks into what I needed to do also.
Yeah.
There's some things you can do to boost it.
Yeah, I mean, you're buying a 4 cost, which is giving you some more damage, but the extra die per, it's pretty good.
The other thing that hurts the Boom Boom is the fielding cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too. Yeah.
Like,
what do you guys think about Absorbing Man? A couple people are trying that one out.
I love Absorbing Man.
Yeah, which one though?
The rare for the double damage.
Chris and I stayed up and brainstormed the double KO effect one.
I love that card.
Stuff with that as well.
Oh, I love that card. I've been trying to make a KO team work for a long time, and I thought I had it done. And I talked to Patrick, and like it happens whenever I talk to Patrick. I scrap everything and move on, and then my mind's blown, and I can't do anything for a few days.
No, the new one we've been playing, Chris?
Oh yeah, with the Wolverine patch, Rocket Raccoon, Mimic, and Professor X for ramp, and I threw Scarlet Witch, and I have team up.
Oh yeah, we played that one on Saturday.
Yeah, I've made some changes since I played you. I put Scarlet Witch because I was playing Marcus, and he basically villainous pacted me to death.
Oh.
Yeah.
But there's something with that, anyone. The when fielded one is also interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a more clear ruling on the Adam Warlock, Absorbing Man, Boom Boom.
And then like things like Blob. I had Blob against TJ. I didn't end up buying it because I was worried about it. But I had the capture Blob. So if I field Blob and I capture one of his characters, that should trigger his Absorbing Man. But then is that until Absorbing Man leaves the field? Is it until my Blob leaves the field?
Whenever you copy an ability, the character that copies the ability and uses it is the new proper noun.
Okay, I mean I know that was part of the copying die ruling.
But wouldn't Blob is basically when fielded and continuous, it holds on to them. So I think when they capture it, it would go back.
I don't know.
It would come back at the end of the it doesn't say while active, right?
Yeah.
It says capture. It says when fielded, do this, and the period doesn't occur until later, right?
Yeah. So I think that was the next thing that Paul was talking about rulings the other day on the Discord, and he was saying that was one of the things they had to get to next was all the Absorbing Man interactions.
They also need to get the immortal one that's everyone submitted about Patrick.
I think Patrick's right about that.
Yeah.
This is like the 4th team that I've built that's crazy, and then somebody goes, I don't think this one card works the way you think it does. And Paul decides to take their side, and then the Wiz gets rid of and decides to take their side. I had a team with nowhere that was spectacular. It used the rare Jervis Tetch to attack and steal my opponent's characters, and then I nowhered them out during the combat step for my versions, or like my characters that cost 1 more. I put their character back in the card, and I put my character in the field.
Yeah, I figured.
Such a jerk thing to do.
There was a lot of debate about that, and I was always at the camp that even if you could do that, their character should still go back to the field at the end of the turn because that's where you captured it from.
Which would be fine.
Yeah, but I mean,
I still got a charter that's for free.
Remove your opponent's pot ones, yeah. That'd be Hella Global before Hella came out.
Right, exactly. But all right, so you're talking about capture, right? When fielded, capture target opposing character die until person of this card leaves the field.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that does seem like it.
Absorbing Man would capture things until Absorbing Man left the field.
I always thought about it as a way to double damage, but that being able to prevent your opponent from doing their win field is pretty good too.
And what's really good is every time you field Blob, Absorbing Man can capture.
The blob.
Blob.
No, Absorbing Man can capture, and Absorbing Man just stays in the field and doesn't have to keep cycling to capture more. So he can slowly eat the whole field every time you field the blob.
Oh.
But
yeah,
his
so you-
defense is considerably lower, though.
His
Yeah.
defense is considerably lower, absolutely. So it's not as powerful in that way, but it's powerful in that you can multiply it, right?
My question is more about the interaction between that and the Adam Warlock, which does a when fielded effect again. So
Oh,
when,
the second time, yeah.
yeah, so it hits 3 times or 4 times.
Yeah, it triggers the wind fielded effect twice.
Yeah.
Which is really weird wording.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
so
'Cause
your
with
question
that and
is,
the boom
is it
boom and the Adam
is it-
Warlock.
3 times or 4 times? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. When you copy, that's not that wouldn't. So Adam Warlock says when you field a character, trigger their effect twice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then Absorbing Man says when you
When a
When
wind fielded
you-
effect is
when
triggered.
you
do it
yeah
again.
when it's triggered, do it again. So it would be 4. It would be 4, but it wouldn't be like infinite because
Yeah.
Warlock wouldn't trigger off Absorbing Man's
I
counter.
think we found Ben's next boom boom team right there. 5
Well, I have
characters
it,
in
but it's just like, yeah, well, you just need, no, you need a sidekick. You need Adam Warlock, the Absorbing Man, Boom Boom, and a sidekick, and you win.
you need one more, right? You need 5 times 4?
Oh, you need 5, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty easy to do though.
Yeah,
That was bad
or
math, sorry.
or you just field all that and attack into an open field.
Yeah.
Sure.
On that KO
Collector.
team, I've also put uncommon Mr. Fix-It. When a character is KO'd, give him +2/+2. And when I swing in, well, when I do the massive KO, he gets buffed. I think last night against Marcus, I buffed him to 47? 40, yeah.
So, how are you doing the massive KO? I forget.
I'm doing Wolverine and Rocket Raccoon. And I'm just doing a rocket. I'm doing
Okay.
trying to do a chain of Rocket Raccoons to get up to Wolverine to KO him, and then wipe out the other side.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like when those attacks split up among the opposing characters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty nasty. So
It's a bit like that Juggernaut that gets +2/+2 for sidekicks.
mhm.
It's pretty interesting.
In a draft with the Banshee, that was a pretty good combo.
Well, stuff where you can like Doppelganger or the Sarcolossus, where you can KO all your sidekicks.
I traded Sarcolossus off as soon as I could.
I did too, actually, but I got Ragnarok too, so I basically had the same ability.
I got Malekith for it. So
Oh,
Oh,
well, that's
man.
a trade up.
Yeah,
well,
that really
I
good.
traded 3 cards to get Malekith. I thought it was worth it. So
Yeah.
I'm finding that and Ring of Winter are way more one-sided than Blue Eyes White Dragon ever was, because I've played against people with both of them now, and I don't need to buy actions very much, and I don't have any 6-cost characters, and so I just don't get to use that global. It's really frustrating.
yeah.
So when I talked to Jimmy at Worlds, we were talking about the Dark Side Global and how at Worlds it was ruled to work
Yeah.
favorably, but was later ruled otherwise. But he basically said, yeah, we've been making more complicated globals, but they're good complicated globals,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to what they originally made, which were, hey, I want to be able to do this effect. Okay, well, you can do this effect for 1 energy.
Mm.
And they're like, well, maybe not 1 energy.
Well, they thought the fact that they were giving it to your opponent balanced it out, right?
Yeah.
And then it didn't, because people just spam the hell out of it.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Well, I mean, it's always going to be true. I mean, that's why I loved like rigorous training when they announced that, right? I mean, that's it's definitely a blanket effect. Every sidekick in the field gets +1 defense, and everyone's like, well, "Why would you play that?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to bring a Foot Ninja team, and now you can't get rid of your sidekicks, and I'm built around it, and you're not. It's not really one-sided anymore, or double-sided."
yeah, I'm hoping for more training cards because I really like the idea.
Yeah, me too.
I
So
want
+1
like
defense is a bit lame.
I want a training card that says your sidekicks produce fists instead of masks.
So you can just like double up on 1 energy type.
or whatever. Like, well, actually, since training cards are supposed to affect both players, that would probably be terrible. Because you'd be like, "Ha!
Just force them not to get masks.
You can only get masks on question marks."
Yeah.
They can
When
even
someone's
do like a
mask ring
crystal
team all together.
Or
like a crystal, like you just spin masks to fit. You can spin masks to fists.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then both players can do it. So if you're just doing it, so you can bring a haymaker, right, and then spin all your masks to fists to do. It's like great. Your opponent can do that too.
Yeah, but you're going to build around it, and they're not, and so
right.
Yeah.
Common Hulk on that team and just push face.
And admittedly, you're giving up a character slot to have more reliability in your character, like in your dice rolling, which is pretty cool. But I constantly think of like crazy ways to make sidekicks.
I think if they had a training one that turned sidekicks into bolt characters, and then so that Firefly would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But if
Um,
giving up a character slot to make your goals more reliable, that's what the energy fixers are.
Yeah.
the-
Well, they are now that the actions kind of suck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially now when you can't
Apart
even
from
use
Billy
them.
Club. Billy Club's good.
you keep saying that, and I point you to the 3-cost Storm from
Yeah.
AVX.
It's
Yeah.
not great, but it's okay. It's not. It's
mean-
like another form of removal, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
reliable.
it's I
It's a
really
backup.
don't have an answer to this, so let me go get a Billy Club.
But it makes you
I
feel
would
better
much
about.
rather. Oh, sorry.
It makes you feel better about putting it in with that Spider-Man team with the Professor X and Mimic and all the other slots you're using up. Just because you can be like, oh yeah, I still have some removal just in case.
P.S. If you are going to use it as removal, bring 2 because you'll
Yeah.
need them both.
Yeah. I really wish that it had the ability of the uncommon Billy Club, which is basically intimidate as an action.
Oh man,
Right?
All
Because
the
then
Billy
you
Clubs
get
are
the
pretty good, though.
guaranteed, but only for one turn. But just that turn you need it. Oh, I love it.
but the common one I was trying to make because that basically is Magic Missile.
Oh, the
Just
2
for
damage.
you. Yeah. So I was trying to use that with the you anti-attune
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, just so you don't give Magic Missile to them or Power Bolt
Yeah.
to your opponent. But it's, you have to have a Daredevil, which kind of sucks.
Well, the Daredevil makes it 4, right? Or is it because it's two each time?
No, it's 2. So it does 2 damage
character.
to character.
Yeah.
Oh, or to a player if you have Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
not 2.
I always wanted there to be more actions like that in the game, like Nova Corps uniform, like just a way to like take a Batman and give him Captain America's shield and like a Green Lantern ring and just like give him, like, you know what I mean? And
Hey,
Equipment
Alfred
kind of
and
did that, and then they just limited it so hard to just certain characters.
Alfred and Cap shields are pretty good, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm hoping that when they go into this box set, that their design, like their need to design bad cards, is reduced, and they can start spending more time uniforming the design of everything, right?
Yeah.
So start giving equipable to everything. Maybe
hate
not
that.
give affiliations, but
I hate that
You know.
equipable is only on D&D. I love D&D, but it's just kind of like
Yeah.
it's so use case.
Talking about the Razni apparently is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rare.
he is. But remember, it takes a
People
lot
being
to
playing
make
that
it
wrong?
work.
Yeah.
You can't.
You
You
have 5
can't.
cost and then a 2-cost action, or more than
And
one.
then- And then another equipable character, and then
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
trigger it once.
Yeah. And another 5-cost Rasni, so you can do it twice and deal 4 damage. But
Well, then you would need a third character to swap the hats, swap the items between, right?
Oh, that's when you just have Batiri and just
Oh no, wait, no, you can.
You got 2.
you can swap. I think you swap Rasni.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. You can have 2 heavy armors, but you only get the benefit once.
Yeah.
But you can do it at the start of your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
Right, which is
Like
a better
Lockjaw.
lockjaw.
Yeah.
It's a better lockjaw, but yeah.
Like man, Jared Gaskin did that to Robert when they played, and it was just cleared out Robert's characters on his turn, and Robert he pushed with he didn't have any blockers, so Jared just killed him that turn, and it was just a wow kind of turn when it happened.
It was pretty good. I proceeded to build a team while they were doing that. just to see how well I could make the equipable thing work. And
When do
it
you
was
do
expensive.
that? When do you do that? The switching of the gears on their turn after their clear and draw, or before?
You can do it at the beginning of any turn.
That's start of turn, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's different from Lockjaw in that they still get to roll the dice in their prep.
No, because it's their turn, so they don't get to roll the dice that you KO
Before, right? Because it's a
Until
transitionary period.
I think the rule is even specific about like they had to have been in prep at the end of your opponent's turn, or like when your turn started or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you have ever played Magic, but characters have to go through an untap step before they can ever attack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So characters have to go through a start of turn step before they can be added to your die roll.
Okay. Sure.
Right. So if something happens at the start of your turn, then they haven't gone through that start of your turn step.
And it's just brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. All right. So let's talk about the matchups coming up.
Okay.
So
yes, my upcoming match.
Okay, calm down. So Zack kind of coined this pretty well this week because it's James and Zack versus each other, and Stephen Cookus and Christopher Clubb versus each other. Both the matchups of the undefeated people, they're friends of each other. How did you say it, Zack?
When friends become enemies.
That's really what it's about. It's about the two undefeated teams playing, four undefeated teams playing each other, and they're all friends. I mean, I'd like to think everyone's friends in the tournament, but they closely know each other. So the first matchup, which I'm probably gonna get beat, it's me versus Reg Sims. Let's see if Reg can capitalize on my stupidity again.
Shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I give all my opponents all the opportunities. Ben, you're gonna be playing Troy Miller.
Okay. I'll probably lose. That's fine.
Josh Bodie versus Scott Murray. Yeah,
I played Troy. He's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Oh, he's got team up with Squirrel Girl. Oh, I have a soft spot for squirrels.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's got Squirrel Girl. You need to learn how to use that global.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, he has the mindless ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that he oh, it's so dirty.
I love anybody willing to put Squirrel Girl on a team and just try and win with squirrel tokens.
He doesn't use it to win with he uses it for the mindless one and the global to redirect it to KO.
I mean it works for that, but if you got team up and you got squirrels in this field, then
yeah, it's dirty. And then Josh Bodie versus Scott Murray. I've seen a few of both their matches. I forget their teams offhand. Oh, Troy Miller said he stole the idea from you, Patrick.
He did. I played it in the last online tournament. I played Rocket Raccoon, Cosmic Cube, Vicious Struggle, and the Squirrel Girl Global. And
I tried to steal that for the WKO, and I couldn't make Vicious Struggle work against Yanti.
Oh, ugh. Yeah. Well, not against Yanti. It wouldn't work against Yanti.
If they use it against you and they have Yanti, you'll lose on 2 purchases.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I put Vicious Struggle on my Yanti team. Yeah. That's how bad it is.
Oh wow. And then we got Stephen McEwen. I hope I'm saying that right. McEwen. I'm stupid. And versus Gary Kondik. I believe they're 1 and 2 each.
Gary online. Let's see what's Gary running.
Steven's from the Dice Mayhem.
Yeah.
Right.
Author of our bot. Thanks, Steve. By the way.
Yeah.
By the way, Gary has the Hellcat, which I want Gary to win because of Hellcat.
Yeah, Hellcat.
Which one? No bio.
No, it's actually one more to purchase basic action dice. It's not. It's not the one you're thinking.
And that's a wall active. So she's basically Oracle, right? She's the Oracle, the action dice Oracle.
For 1 less.
I've watched all of Gary's matchups. He's purchased it once and put it out in the field. Everyone else has gone super fast against him. And week 1 he was able to get it out. And then we got Robert versus TJ Bozilla.
TJ.
Yeah, Robert has a chance to go on the top 8 right now. The there's a glut of people tied basically at 8 spot, and Robert's one of them. We'll see if he can keep up with playing well and
I'll
rolling
bet
well.
TJ takes game 2. I don't know about the rest of it, but I know about game 2.
Yeah, it's calling the shot right there. And then we got Brian Tarks versus Michael Ingledew. Michael is he just, his bag just got a hold of him last week, and it was rough. And then Brian, he capitalized on my many mistakes, and it was he just beat me. Then we got Ryan Slater versus Zane Carrick. Ryan Slater's the Babe Ruth of calling his losing streak. He continues to say that he'll win 1 game and lose 2, and he's been right. Then we got Laurier Joseph Burrell versus James Yoder. I really like that one. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Laurier's got the Team Up Yanti team. I really want to see that one in action.
Yeah.
And I was actually having a conversation with him about the Acererak Global. And he's convinced me that it's worth a try. I'm going to give it some testing.
It's okay, but it's
yeah,
it's only once per turn and like 1 die.
Yeah, but there's not a better option in modern. I was thinking if you're going to run a team like Team Up and you want to get rid of it, I was thinking maybe like Magic Missile to get rid of Scarlet Witch, but then you got to put like Wonder Woman on your team to prevent it from being used against you. But he was saying, Acererak, it's better odds than you'd think. And you're not going to get it every time, but
yeah, I mean, you have
it's a straight 50.
Yeah.
Well, so he calls it 62.5, and he did the math for me because you get a 25% chance that you just roll it anyway, and then of the 75% chance that you don't, you have a 50% chance of getting it again. So it's only a slightly less than just rolling it normally.
Right. At the cost of 1 energy. So
that's a good trade-off.
And a character slot.
Yeah, and a character slot, but you don't have to buy it, so that's good.
Yeah.
No.
Unless Riker's out.
Hard to buy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tune, right? So and
you can buy some evil characters for pretty cheap.
Oh yeah.
If you
that means Yanti.
Like Yanti. You can buy her for 1.
Yeah.
And he's also got Tabaxi Rogue on the team, who's also evil.
Is she?
Yep.
I didn't even realize that. That's pretty good.
And then Patrick, we have you versus Matt Jourdain.
Yeah, I think Matt knocked me out of the tournament last time. It was either Matt or Laurier. I can't remember. I played both of them.
There's Canadians.
The Canadians. Who knows?
Whatever. Who actually won last time? Was it Matt that won last time? I don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was Matt. I think it was Matt that won last time, and he knocked me and Shruby and Michaela out of the tournament. He basically just swept through Dice Coalition.
Yeah, right.
So it's time for some revenge.
He's got the Dragons and that sidekick team with the Samantha Wilson.
Yeah.
Team Up.
Samantha Wilson and Spot too.
Spot,
that's a
big entrance.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think you failed to realize it's my Jubilee team versus his Jubilee team, which means twice as many. Oh wait, he doesn't have PXG on there.
He doesn't have PXG. Okay. He doesn't need it. He kind of floods the bag with really cheap sidekicks and then kind of
wins.
Yeah. James and I actually did this. We did a sidekick team right when Modern got announced. This was the team that James used.
That team was nuts. It just went off it's sort of kind of, you don't think anything's happening, and then one turn.
He bought one Jarvis and made it work the whole entire time.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
Jarvis's removal, which is awesome, and then you also get removal for Jubilee. It's really fun.
Yep.
It's nutty. Then we got Paul Vidro versus Nick Wale. I believe they're both 2-1. They're part of the glut at the top, second tier top.
That's going to determine top 8 then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of an important match. There's a few matchups in there where it's really important who wins. And then the next 2 matchups is the undefeated people, James versus Zack, Steven versus Christopher. And then Jared has a bye because Joe Vega dropped out. He's going to be working on a few more things behind the scenes for the tournament, trying to run some numbers for us. And he just wanted to spend more time on that, and we kind of need that. So Joe's going to be taking care of a lot of that for us from now on. So
cool.
What does everyone think about the matchups?
I think a lot of good top 8 win and ins going on.
Yeah.
Is this the last? This is the last round before top 8, right?
No.
Oh, we got 2
No.
more. Okay, so we still got a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's still room for movement, but I think this is going to be a major movement week, like this one was.
So what you're saying is, if I win both games, I get top 8.
No,
Maybe.
no.
Well, I think
cool.
if you're
Right.
4 and anything, you're gonna make top 8.
Yeah,
I will not be 4 and anything
Yeah.
if I win.
I'm 3 and 4 right now. I have to win both my matches with going 2-0 in each of them.
Is it taking the individual scores into account?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's what it's going to get down to.
Well, so the point differential is taken into account after strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the second tiebreaker.
That's right. Ben's got a higher strength of schedule than I do. Right?
Coming for you.
I'm at the bottom of the top.
Ooh. I'm right. I'm 2 above you, Ben.
I'm just in the milieu. That's fine.
Yeah. I think to really be able to get to the top, I think Reg is kind of the cutoff that I'm not saying no one below that has a realistic, it doesn't have a chance, but I think Reg is the last one in that tier that has a realistic shot, not a hard shot, but a decent shot to get into the top 8.
Well, it'll be that 4 and 1s get through, 5 and 0s get through, and then maybe 1 or 2, 3 and 2s get through. If that.
There's only going to be 1 5 and 0 by the time it's all done.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep.
So maybe a 3 and 2 will get through, maybe.
So it's probably going to be 5-0, and then 4 anythings, and then 3 0 and 2s. We don't have any ties yet, right?
Yeah.
No.
No ties.
No
Okay,
ties
so-
available.
Any 3-0 and 2s, and then any 3-0 and 1s. So if we have any ties, those ties are going to make it in before the losers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
Downer note. Go win the rest of your matches.
and
Yep.
yeah, or at least don't lose.
Easy.
Yeah, right.
and,
Troy, nothing. Doesn't matter.
and full disclosure, Zack and James have already played their match because they had something come up and they had to play it. I don't even know how it turned out. Zach's being very rude, not telling me. But that is something that had to be done. It couldn't be avoided, so that's why it was played ahead of time. But you guys, no one will know until probably as soon as Zack and them put it out. So
I think the video will probably be Friday or Saturday. But
don't think
it's a bit of a saga.
yeah,
I don't think when you play the match matters.
Yeah.
Because we're not doing team changes, right? Last tournament it mattered because you could change up until whatever, so you knew your matchups and whatever. But
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I think the sooner people know what their matches are, the sooner they can get it done. But there's no need to do it before we have a roundtable either. So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I'd love to see some of these matches. So people are posting them, especially in the Discord. Keep posting them or doing them letting people know when they are in the public boards, and people can pop in. I know I've had a lot of fun talking to people before and after matches that way.
Yeah, it's good to get some kind of insight into kind of what people's thought processes were
Oh,
when they're making those decisions.
Ben, you're being called out right now.
Uh-oh.
Troy Miller is saying, "Are you ready to play now, boy?"
Yeah. Sure. I mean,
All right. Well,
yeah, easy.
I guess we're gonna go watch a match.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah. Okay.
Hold on, Troy. Are you serious right now? Are you putting me on? Don't do this to me if you're putting me on.
I'll go play.
Yeah, Ben says he's down now that he got called out. We're not getting a response. Oh, just kidding.
Coward. Typical.
Ben, I think you have the moral dominance at the moment because you called his bluff.
Basically, that counts as me being 4-0.
I think that counts as you winning the dice roll to determine who goes first.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Give another point for the strength of schedule. For strong moral fiber.
I get a wild card into the top 8. Okay.
Wild card in the top 8.
You're the first pick for the bye next week.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Does anyone have any thoughts on anything going on right now, or want to talk about anything that's going on with them?
Oh, so watching these matches, I've like been inspired to help people or to brew myself like 4 or 5 teams, which normally I wouldn't do. Normally I'd be like, all right, it's time to brew my once per week team to put on the podcast. Let me go find something that I like. But you guys are taxing me in my free time. I need to stop watching matches, so I stop like, oh, that card interaction is pretty cool. Let me just make this whole team.
Man, yeah, I miss the days where it's just like, yeah, what other like cards should I put in apart from Yuan-Ti and Cube? I got those, and then that's it, right?
Just look at this. Look at last week's winner and do that one.
Yeah. Now it's like there's like 10 different teams that might be good. And then there's some like crazy guy running some stupid 7-cost immortal random thing. And it's like, wow, that's pretty damn good.
I really wish I could go back and change my team. I made a realization, especially after playing James, that I don't need Mailkith on that team.
Yeah, no, yeah, you don't use ping.
I really don't. I just magic missile.
Yeah.
And sure, I miss out on the cost discount on Yarnborn the one time I want to buy it, but like I'm only buying it once, right?
Yeah, you don't really need it at all.
But that's the thing. It's so like your opponent can use it, but if they're not gonna buy actions with it, it's not like Blue Eyes where they just got a good discount on stuff.
Yes, but the meta for this damn tournament is everybody has like investigation spot, and that's my ramp. And I'm like, why am I bringing this tool that just helps them?
Yeah.
And plus, there's a lot of people running it anyways, so you could just use it from them.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But more importantly, I didn't need to go spend $40 to buy it.
Yeah, I did.
You never know. There'll be a great action team that you need for Avengers.
I mean, I'm going to use it for something someday.
Oh yeah.
I use mine for my Yanti team, and it really pushes things to go fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially since I don't have a 1-cost.
Even just buying the dude, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah. It's super good.
Makes me a little bit sad because I pulled Mr. Miracle and I've never found him to be good enough that I've ever actually put him on a team.
I think he's good with Novacore.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, no, because
Novacore counts as continuous now since the erratas.
But I thought that with Mr. Miracle, it forced you to reroll your continuous.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about Mr. Miracle. I was talking about the other guy. The Question.
Oh yeah. No, question is probably going to be pretty good, especially with now that it works with traps.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness. So it's like, let me attack with Question, roll my trap, put my trap up as a blocker to replace the Question, and just like cycle, right? Like
we were talking about how Ben doesn't think Green Devil Mask is that good, but what if you could put the Question on and get it every turn?
I think Green Devil Mask my issue is that I think the good players will probably work out a way to their team can play around it. And I think you don't necessarily most people don't buy it.
So here's the follow-up. Green Devil Mask is just like Rare Batman from the Batman set. And it's just like Umber Hulk in that it rerolls everything, but who knows if that's good enough, right? Mm-hmm. It's a dice game. It's a card for playing dice games.
Yeah.
It does punish specific subsets of teams, the ones that want to attack you with 8 sidekicks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't punish necessarily the teams that can kill you with 3 dice. It doesn't punish the teams that do otherwise. So if you're going to put Green Devil Mask on your team, you need to put PXG on your team. Because then you can make sidekicks and thin your bag, and your opponent can't without triggering Green Devil Mask.
The thing I will say that Green Devil has in its favor over like Batman and Umber Hulk, and I agree they're very similar, but the thing it has in its favor is if you have that card just on your team, it kind of scares your opponent into playing a certain way. Whereas the Batman and Umber Hulk kind of didn't.
Because they couldn't do anything about it.
Because until they, yeah.
See, I can see that.
I have Green Devil Mask on my Yanti team just for the simple fact I I need their field to be thin so they're not controlling my whole entire Yahtzee team. That's the only reason I have it on there. Anything else, if they're being trying to build a field to go aggro, I have it for that also. But I just have it for if I play certain matchups, and that's it.
Sure.
What about is there like a way to make a team that benefits from them only having 3 characters in the field? Like maybe you've got multiple win cons so they can't field all their control or something?
So if you really wanted to pair up a team like that, your best bet would be to grab those characters that most people don't play with that say must be blocked by 2 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have Green Devil Mask and must be blocked by 2 dudes, that's effectively unblockable.
Well, there's the Brazen Pegasus, which is the promo D&D thing where 2 target characters have to be blocked by 2.
Yeah, we found a use case for it.
It's a little bit like the Scarlet Witch, right? Like, that card is super good in certain matchups, but also pretty lame in other matchups.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to have that in your team and find a way to make it useful besides just being useful as a threat.
I think if you have Doppelganger Living Fractal on your team and you're running Green Devil Mask, that's a pretty funny one too.
Fair point.
I don't know how competitive it is, but I love that card.
It's funny. It's so funny.
Oh, again,
Well,
5 picks out.
If you play that card and then you play Black Cat, not the Black Cat that everybody's been playing, but the other one that says when your opponent rolls a question mark, they have to re-roll.
Yeah.
She basically Scarlet Witch's question marks.
Mm-hmm.
But that means they're rolling their sidekicks 3 times, right?
Yeah.
And you're also committing like 3 of your team just to troll people.
And they're all 4 costs too, or 5, I think is one of them. So they're not even cheap.
But it's not, because if you put
if you
put Jubilee on your team, so you put Jubilee out, and then every time your opponent, you put Jubilee and Doppelganger out, every time your opponent rolls a sidekick, you ping them for 1.
That would require you having Jubilee, but yeah.
Fair enough.
Because Doppelganger does say field, doesn't he, right? You get to field on your side.
You field the sidekick onto your team, triggering Jubilee.
That's kind of
so trolling.
That's been happening in this tournament in general. I think you've been talking about it quite a lot, Patrick, like after games and stuff, is like getting that 2-for-1 value out of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before you kind of were, especially a year ago, you could just get that 1 use out of that card and not worry about it so much.
Nowadays, you have to, every card you put on your team, because there's so many cards out there, has to do more than it says on the card based on the other 9 cards on your team.
It's because the meta is so wide right now.
Yeah.
You can't be prepared for I'm going to play against Bard, so I need something that stops Bard.
Yeah, it really does feel like the fall WKO, which I don't know if everyone had the same experience, but I played against like a nowhere Bahamut team and a King Blackwolf team and a Lantern Ring team, and it was just it was everywhere, and you couldn't predict what you were going to go up against. It was awesome.
So a lot of people complain about things like the WKOs having formats that are really stale metas. But the annual format for Modern is rotate, have a wide field national and worlds event, add more sets, have a WKO to identify problem pieces, have another WKO to check for problem resolution,
and with new sets too.
And then rotate, have nationals and worlds, right? And you just rotate and ban out the problems. And so it's a pretty responsible rotation meta build for, and it's been exactly the same way 2 years in a row, right? Bard was banned, and there were a few WKOs that didn't run Bard. Then Cube was banned, and now there's been a few WKOs that didn't run Cube. And then they rotate the rest of the stuff to just make sure that everything's going to be kind of healthy. And now we're going to have hopefully a wide open world or wide open nationals. I don't know if the meta will stay wide open all the way to worlds, but we'll find out.
Well, and besides this, and people are watching this, we've got UK nationals and then US nationals. I guess there's a couple WKs with Q ban, but there aren't going to be a lot of other ways to check the meta.
Well, there are going to be the other nationals in the other countries as well, like Canada.
Yeah, I think Gen Con will have all the July release sets legal. So Gen Con
That's
might
after
be
Nats, though. Oh, you mean Worlds? Yeah.
right. Gen Con might be the meta check before Worlds, assuming more than 4 people show up.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah, it is. On the other hand, 4 people show up. One of them goes home with a box set. I'm just saying.
Worked out.
How it's been for the last 2 years. So.
And then PAX, whatever, the one in Vegas, Unplugged? No, the other one.
PAX, right? Just PAX, right? PAX.
No, PAX Prime is Seattle, but PAX, there was one in Vegas.
PAX East.
Jazz.
No, PAX East is
Boston.
just happened, and that was Boston.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was called, but there was one in Vegas, and I know Jazz won a tournament there.
Oh, Salt Lake City Comic Con. Is
that
also is also usually the first WKO of the year, and that's in August, I think.
What's releasing in July? They have it listed for everything right now, right? Not just
everything.
But
the 2 before.
But I don't think both of them were pushed back. I think 40K was pushed back. I don't think Avengers was pushed back, right? I think it was already in July. And then,
don't forget, we had a Tomb Annihilation leak a week early out as a surprise. So there's always a chance that Warhammer just comes out like next month and we don't see it coming, and then we all get to play it.
Right. Yeah. So something to remember about those dates is, according to Justin, those dates are the last date in the month that it might come out in, right? And until you actually have a numbered day, they're just giving you the month that
estimated
they think it's going to come out in, based on their boats. Yeah. Based on the boat bringing it over from China.
That's
so weird, because Harley was for like January 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Harley's not out yet, because
I wish it was out. I would love to see that.
Did they actually show any of that stuff off at Gamma?
I may or may not know a bit about Harley, and
yeah, I guess Paul will get all weird about it, but
what's that?
Yes, I never ask Paul anything about it. He'll just kind of pretend like he doesn't know everything about it already.
I'll tell you what. You know who Paul goes to when he has a rules question?
Who's that? Is it someone we know?
Is it someone talking right now? It's actually me, Zack.
I have no idea.
I know. That person complained about getting overruled by Paul earlier. So
listen, that's because Paul also talks to other people about those questions. People who actually write things.
Yeah.
Just ready for the LCG to start so we could just be done talking about it and get it going. Honestly,
I agree. I have some mild interest at my local store, so I might actually start a scene back up because I can buy it all and other people can use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I already do that, but
I'm not gonna have extras though. That's the thing I'm gonna miss.
I'm gonna miss the feeling of like using the funds that I have to buy a like 10 packs, go through it and get something, and I'm like, like a little schoolgirl. I'm gonna miss that. I'm not gonna have those feels anymore. But I'm gonna feel great being able to just go through it and dissect it, figure out what cards go with what, and try to build competitive, great teams.
Yeah.
And then talk to Patrick and realize I don't know anything.
I'm gonna miss the draft.
There's ways to do it.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss draft as well. Now is the time where I have to jump in as representative of the Dice Coalition to remind you that Truby has built a draft pack generator that is usable for even sealed sets and will be able to be used for 40K, even Harley Quinn, etc.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to run something with that online.
We are in the works for doing that. It's not going to be a 2-team takedown tournament. There's Zach. I've kind of talked to you a little bit about it, where we just kind of discussed how to do it. I think there's 2 ways of doing it. The 2 ways I think that it could be done is everyone just go buy 12 packs. So you get to you buy the packs, you get to keep them. You open them on and just say what cards you got. You can open up them on stream or just have someone watch you open them. And then you just make a spreadsheet, pass it to the person down the number or up the number, signifying right or left. And I think that could be quick-ish. It could be done in a day, the draft.
You have to have a big enough collection that you can reasonably expect to have the cards that other people are going to pull. That's true for draft pack generator or packs or whatever, but it's not that hard, and you probably won't have super rares, so it's not that big of a deal.
And you could proxy. It's not going to be no proxies in the tournament because I think it's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and then if you pull a super rare, like you probably keep it, and so you have the one. Although I guess it's weird because you're just going to keep it no matter what anyway.
Yeah,
so,
you could pass it along like,
yeah, that's true.
That's garbage.
Yeah, you can use it for the online tournament, but I've got it right here.
Ooh, super rare mimic. I definitely want that first pick.
And then the other one is using Truby's Cube, and I think Truby's Cube is probably going to be a really good choice, but I kind of want to try both. I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but I like buying packs for doing something.
The only problem with that is it excludes people who just don't have a store.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to do an online, you have to allow proxies, and you have to use an independent third party, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about like you got
Dice Coalition
stuff.
I've already talked to Andy and all that. They're probably going to be involved a lot. Like Dice Coalition is probably going to be involved a lot with all the tournaments going forward. And they're independent.
If only because you're going to use our rooms to broadcast your games.
I mean, it's really handy.
Super handy.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday, Patrick and I were playing a couple of Patrick's games before my game with TJ because it was really late Saturday night for me, early for Scotland. And then people just kept showing up and people were kind of swapping in and out. And because it wasn't really for anything, Ben was helping me because I was making wrong plays the whole time. And it was just like a really fun, like kind of relaxed atmosphere. I remember being really impressed by it.
Yeah, it's just like a game store you can go and hang out in.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's a game store that's open 24 hours. That's great.
Right. And you can play people from all over the world while hanging out in room number 1.
Yep.
The only thing is about that in that room 1, I think I fell asleep on your stream because it was so late for me.
Yeah, it was midnight Pacific time. You said 8 a.m. Scotland time, but it was like 3 a.m. when we finished for you.
Yeah.
Hey, as long as you muted the mic, nobody cares.
Well, Zack said, "Chris, you need to go to bed."
He stayed for the whole thing. I thought he was going to leave.
I was so tired, but I would really like watching. I just like watching Dice Masters and playing it online. So
yeah,
it's a really good spectator sport.
It needs to be. If Dice Masters
feel like it's actually a really good thing to watch. It's interesting.
Hopefully, Truby's streaming plugin will help it actually be a spectator sport rather than an inside game sport, right?
Yeah.
That's really what I.
But it's also really clear though. Like it's not like Magic where like they have hidden hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no hidden information in the game. Yeah. As long as your camera's good enough, you can read everything.
Yep. Yeah. And you can yell at the screen, "Why didn't you resurrect?"
Yes. Or hear the commenters just talk, and they're wrong half the time, but you understand where they're coming from.
You might be.
Oh, Ben, we've already established I'm always wrong and you're always right, all right?
It's just nice to hear you say once in a while.
Oh, you're saying I don't appreciate you anymore. That's rich.
If you look at the standings.
Oh my god. Mr. Playdown on everyone.
I'm just saying between you and Ben.
Oh. Yeah.
I know, but I'm not allowed to like win in the tournament because I'm commentating, so I have to be impartial. And
yeah, because that's it.
Other reasons.
That's the reason. Yeah. I'm trying to be as impartial as I can, and I'm playing terribly. But man,
no, Chris, we're just trying to get knocked out before the top 8 so we can concentrate on commentating.
By the way, I've talked to a few different people, and I kind of wanted to bring this up on stream, so I'm as transparent and everything else as I can possibly be about the top 8. We want to comment on the top 8 as it's going on, every other YouTuber can record it. If someone's not okay with that, come talk to me. We'll figure it out, and we'll try to go it out. But it's just going to be giving our opinion on it. We're not going to have exclusivity on it. Everyone can record it, play it back, or do their own thing also. But we do want to comment on it.
So basically, you want to be able to have a recording of every top 8 match on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right.
And everyone else can do the same thing because it's going to be their take on it, which is fine.
You say this
you
like
really
you
don't
expect.
want to get your match commentated. Just don't give them the link.
Yeah. Yeah. You are right. You are right.
But I mean, it's nice when people get to watch.
Yeah.
Chris, you say this like you expect YouTubers to make it to top 8.
Yeah, never.
There's gonna be 2 of them, I think, that are gonna make it at least. I'm not one of them.
Not Zack.
Well, Zack may take a rock.
We've seen his
trip.
strength of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that now. I better win out.
Psyching you out, yeah.
Oh, all right. So I don't want to put Zack on the spot here, and I don't want to put anyone else on the spot. But if anyone else can talk, anyone that has a YouTube channel or records videos can talk to me about that and see how they're going. I'm just saying, me and Rob would like to put it on our channel and have commentary on it live. That's really all I'm saying. So, and anyone else can do live stream of it too. Hopefully. All right. Has anyone else got anything?
No, but apparently if you tune into the match against me and Jordan, it's going to be a hella good match.
Yeah.
I saw that as well.
And he wants to know how many hella puns is too many.
There's not a number on that.
Yeah. My games with TJ are going to be up tomorrow, and hopefully games with James Friday, maybe Saturday.
Man, you guys have a busy schedule with putting out games.
We've barely been able to talk to each other because we're releasing 2 or 3 games each every week.
I'm not trying to bring down the room, Robert. All right. We'll revisit that when we get close to the top 8, and I'll talk to more people about it. But yeah, I mean, you guys, your videos are pretty well produced and pretty well done, and I like what you guys are doing over there. Honestly, I wish I could do
pretty well.
Yeah,
that's all right.
I mean, compared to us, you guys are great.
Well, I was on a DM Armada stream one time, and he said something about like those guys make so many videos, and I was like, we got the quantity, you've got the quality. I have been doing it since August, but still.
Yeah. I will say Steven has really great like intros and everything.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I wish I had anywhere near that good just on my podcast, but I'm kind of like the brevity over quality or quality.
I wish. I mean, our average view time is pretty low, and I get it. I don't want to watch a 55-minute game either, but sometimes that's just how it shakes out.
Man, that average view time, it just hits rock bottom when they see that it's like an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Sometimes the game just goes long.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're looking for a very short podcast about that,
if you're tired of these a-holes,
the prep area will simply just tell you what is written on the dicecoalition.com so that you know when to go look at it.
Do you like the Dice Coalition, but not going to websites? The prep area.
That's our mission statement.
It could be a daily podcast. Just read whatever's new.
Here's how I would rule it, guys.
Podcast over.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for everyone to come on. Does anyone know, Zack, Dice Masters with James and Zack, go there, watch videos. They have really good how-tos. They help me figure out how to play.
Almost done with them, too.
Oh, my God. I really can't wait for you guys to get, because the last one came out like 2 months ago, right?
We've been trying to do part 3. We just haven't been able to find a time to get it. We've got it planned out mostly.
Well,
and if you forget what the name of their YouTube page is, you can go to Dice Coalition. New players. And then we'll be able to find their videos.
If you want to see a banner ad for a video we put out 3 weeks ago, DiceCo.com.
Hey, don't talk to me about that. I don't know how the website works. I say, hey, we need this done, and then the entire squad of elves makes it happen.
So Ryan just said, listen to the soothing sounds of Shadowmeld, read the front page of Dice Coalition.
Yeah, there you go. It could be like one of those go to sleep podcasts.
Yeah.
What is it, SMR or whatever?
SMR,
Yeah.
ASMR.
Sleepy time with
ASMR,
Shadowmeld. There you go.
Sleepy time with
I'm pretty sure I don't have the voice for that, but you
Gotta
know.
about whisper into the microphone.
That wouldn't get creepy.
All right, folks.
I was wrong. It got creepy.
Wait, hold on. All right, folks.
Oh, that one I liked.
Yeah.
We gotta get the Ben podcast now. When's that coming out?
Random guy called Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, random guy called Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Canadian now,
podcast.
right? Officially,
Huh?
you're like officially a Canadian now. You can join the DM North.
Sure. No, Laurie and Matt like are too official for me. Not random enough if I'm part of something.
Man. If we ever did a Dice Masters League or whatever, what Canadian team, who would you choose to go with?
What? Canada versus USA versus the UK versus Mexico versus Spain. That we talking about?
Well, I'm talking about like, because if we had a league or something like that,
If you had to join the Dice Masters Olympics,
if I had
which
to
team
like,
would you play for?
Oh, the Olympics.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd start my own.
You'd be like those independent Russian players.
Yeah. You know when you can join like any sport? There was like some Samoan running 100 meters one time. I can just do that. Yeah.
Have you been kicked off your team for doping? Join
Yeah,
Ben's.
performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because, you know, if you were going to make a Canadian team,
There's a lot of Canadians.
there's always
Wolverine,
the
man.
chance. There's always the chance that Jenna shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Well-
scary.
In a good way, in a bad way.
I don't know. She's a personality, but I think she moved on to Destiny or.
I don't know. She's in and around Toronto. I've spoken to her a couple of times
Oh, have you?
about playing, but I think she's a bit far away from where I am.
Yeah, she's in Vancouver.
Yeah. No, she's in Toronto now,
Oh, is she? Oh, okay. Never mind.
or just outside of.
I have not kept up with the Joneses apparently.
Interesting.
I bought my dice bags off Jenna.
Oh, nice.
But you forgot some team packs in Britain.
Yeah, I did. I don't have Defenders, Doctor Strange, or Iron Man War Machine.
So, like you left them behind?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Ouch.
Executive decisions.
How are you gonna make my Fix-It team with Jarvis on it?
I'm not, because I do not like Fix It at all.
I think the thing I liked about that most was just getting to use the Jarvis die on a team.
I know, but Jarvis Jarvis is really useful. That I should have bought the War Machine.
The roadie, yeah.
Yeah, Rhodey, he's pretty good. And then some of the Doctor Strange team pack, I think it's interesting. Eye of Agamotto is interesting.
I love that card.
There's a few
I've
things.
always wanted to make it work.
And the Iron Spidey with the 2 affiliations is interesting now with Team Up.
We tried it, but the fielding costs are so brutal on it.
Yeah. But there's some stuff in those team packs that probably require a second look.
There's a video on Dice Masters with James and Zack where we go.
I know, I watched it. That's what made me proud of it.
You can also find a link to that to Dice Coalition.
Yeah, there you go.
True story.
All right, we can still promote all we want.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, everyone, thank you for watching. This has been the weekly recap. We'll be back next week to talk about the week 4 recap and see how things shake out and talk about most likely who's going to make top 8 and see where it shakes out from there. So, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow everyone here. Dice Masters, James, Zack, Dice Coalition, good to go.
And Ben.
And the prep area.
And Ben.
And me.
And Ben. Just follow him.
Just
if you see
around Toronto.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.